Hello and welcome to episode 473 of Geektown Radio. I'm your host, Dave, and with me this week is Gray. How are you doing?
Hello, I'm good, thank you. It's good to be back.
It's lovely to have you back on. It's been a few weeks. What have you been up to?
Obviously, school has returned,
Boo.
So all my lovely TV watching has really dried up a ridiculous state. But just before I went back, I managed to finish a few key things that had been hanging over me. So first, I went and I finished Ironheart. I've been taking me a while. And I don't know, maybe me and my friend who watched Marvel stuff together, we've been dragging our feet on it because we just thought it was going to be bad because we'd heard all the discussions of it being bad. And to be honest, by the time we got to episodes 5 and 6, we didn't think it was terrible.
No, I quite enjoyed it.
I enjoyed it too. It's no WandaVision, but then I think it's better than what was the one with the Winter Soldier and Falcon and Winter Soldier? Yeah.
Falcon and Winter Soldier,
yeah. So I think it's better than that. It fitted in nicely, but yeah, it wasn't as good as WandaVision or Miss Marvel, which was one of my favorite ones, and Loki, that I enjoyed those. But yeah, really quite good. It's sad that there will be no continuation of that series because I think it did have somewhere to go, but it would be interested to see if she does fit into the MCU in the future at some point. So,
I suspect she will. I think it was more done as a sort of character introduction so they can then utilize her in other places. Yeah. But I think that's fine. It was a way of introducing a new character a bit more, and I suppose technically they introduced her in Black Panther too, but just expand that character a bit more for that. And then I don't know whether she's going to get her own movie. I suspect there's a Young Avengers movie kicking around somewhere in the
getting ready.
Marvel. Yeah. I suspect she'll show up in there at some point.
Excellent. I had this niggling voice of Dave telling me, you should try Reacher, Gray. You should try Reacher, Gray. And so I eventually gave in and tried Reacher, Dave, and I really enjoyed it. So I worked my way through season 1 just in the last couple of weeks of August. Season 2 is there waiting, but obviously it's just madness at the moment, working like 10, 11, 12-hour days and getting home. And there's very little time to get into deep TV programming. But yeah, I really did like it. Thank you for nagging me for nearly 3 years. I finally got around to watching it.
Yeah, it's a great show.
It is a great show. So I think I'll work through season 2 and season 3 imminently, or when I have a little bit of downtime. In the same breath, because I was on Prime, I was also watching The Assassin. It's quite a funny program as well, but bonkers. Like the ending, the convoluted sort of narrative wrap up was just so bizarre and bonkers, but I really enjoyed it. They were both having a lot of fun. And it was great to see really showing her sort of skill set in
it's Keely Hawes and Freddie Highmore, isn't it?
Freddie Highmore, yeah. And it's just so weird hearing Freddie Highmore in a British accent. I really get myself confused all the time. But no, I absolutely enjoyed that. And it's 6 episodes. And that's why I found them like really so consumable. I could just work my way through them. And also, while on that boat, I found a sitcom called How to Die Alone, which was on Disney Plus. I think I saw it. It kept being advertised, and it had the actress from White Lotus in the lead. I'm trying to remember her name now. So she was the actress who played the beautician, and she...
Natasha Rothwell?
Yeah, Natasha Rothwell. So she's the actress that was in season 1 of White Lotus, and then she wasn't in season 2, and she came back to be a spearhead of season 3. She was going to see if she could be a beautician or get her own business. But anyway, she's in this role of someone who has a near-death experience, and she decides to try and reprogram parts of her life because she was falling into sort of lazy traps. It's actually really good. I really quite enjoyed it. Had Conrad Ricamora in it, who is very well known from How to Get Away with Murder. Right. And he plays her best friend and falls out with her massively in episode 2. But I do not believe it's coming back. So it's a bit sad because I binged through it and I was like, oh, I'd love to see where this would go, because there was a cliffhanger at the end, but I do not believe it's been renewed.
No, it hasn't. So you're quite right.
Poor Natasha Rothwell. She did really well in it, but I can understand it. I found it lingering in the background of Disney Plus, so it wasn't really pushed like out there loads, but really enjoyable. If anyone wants 8 episodes, 30 minutes each, absolutely fine to watch. So those are the things I finished. I'm going to do a bit of a reality review section now. Everybody knows one of my favorite categories. So I finished Destination X and Fortune Hotel. BBC and ITV's attempt or twist or a version of The Traitors. They went up against one another, both of them broadcasting on Wednesday and Thursday nights at 9 p.m. on their associated channels. Destination X had 2 more episodes. That started a week before Fortune Hotel. And I was underwhelmed by Destination X, but I really enjoy Fortune Hotel, which I think is really something different because on the face of it, we're all supposed to love the BBC version. It's the one that's bringing up the traitors from, and it's going to take this format that's huge in America with Jeffrey Dean Morgan in the lead. And I just think it fell a bit flat. There was an episode in the middle where they didn't leave one location, and that sort of took away that interactivity we have as the audience. And then the winner, in my opinion, was a bit underwhelming, bit frustrated that person won. But anyway, it was just the way it is. But Fortune Hotel, however, they changed a couple of things up. So Fortune Hotel, if people are not aware, it's Stephen Mangan. They're over in Grenada and they have this briefcase, and one briefcase has £200,000 in it and another briefcase has the early checkout card. And through activities and things, you get to be in charge of whether you swap your case that night. And obviously you want to get higher up in the rankings, so you're the last to swap and you hopefully know where the money is. And anyway, I really enjoyed it. And in this season, they left it a secret to the viewers. I remember vaguely last year in the final, we knew where the money was, but in this one, they left it to the very, very last edit and then they revealed it. And we as the viewers didn't even know. Really enjoyed it. I hope that gets renewed. I know the numbers weren't huge on it, but I would prefer to see another season of Fortune Hotel than I would of Destination X. So I don't know what that says. And then over on Channel 4, they're having a stab at the Traitors style with The Inheritance, which has got the wonderfully camp Elizabeth Hurley and Rob Rinder. And we're enjoying it, but it's not grabbing us. It's not like, oh, we must see the next episode. It's there. If we've got an hour, we're like, oh, should we watch the next one? They do activities in the day. And then in the evening, if you believe you work the hardest in that activity, you nominate yourself and you say why you work the hardest. And then the panel, which is every other contestant, decides whether you deserve a cut of the will. And then if you deserve a cut, you go down to this secret room and you've got your pot of money and you have to decide whether you take it all or you share it out amongst people. So it's quite complicated and there's lots of different twists and rules and people are going to slowly get cut from the will over coming weeks. But my favorite bit is Liz Hurley in all these fantastic dresses in all of these rooms around the house, and she's called the deceased and she appears and she goes, hello darling, so you've won this game, and it's all so camp and we just find it so funny. But I wouldn't rush to watch the second season. I think we'll see it through because we've committed to it now, but to me it's not what we're into. So that's The Inheritance on Channel 4. The next one, Stranded on Honeymoon Island. Davina McCall, BBC, lots of money going into this. We struggled. We've only watched episode 1 day and we struggled so much. It was like a try to be Love is Blind, Married at First Sight, a bit of Love Island, and then a Shipwrecked all in there. And it was, I don't know, one whole episode just took us all that time to meet 3 couples. So we haven't really got into the crux of the game, but it was so slow and we've seen it all before. It's, they go speed dating. Who's going to be my match? And then there's slow motion walking down the aisle to see who it's going to be at the other end. And we just struggle. Maybe we need to get past episode 2, meet the other 3 couples. And then in episode 3, they start doing games and competitions, but struggle for us. And, I like to try and get through a program. I don't like to give up, but very close to wanting to give up.
Oh dear.
Yeah. And then the final reality review section will be Great British Bake Off, which came back 2 weeks ago in its classic mode. Same tropes, same ridiculous technical challenges, but it's looking good. They've got the same amount of tension. They've got some great sort of rescuing scenes. It's a good, strong format and it gets you in the mood to think, oh, maybe I should bake that, but you never actually go through with it. But
of course you don't.
No, you just think, yeah, I should. So that's Great British Bake Off. There are a couple of other reality shows we know are sitting in the background that I should probably get to watching or get to review, but at the moment, a lot on my plate, so I'm going to leave it there to the reality review. Still watching lots of the procedurals. This weekend, I was doing lots of work, so in the background, I binged on, I think I worked out by the end of the weekend, I watched 18 episodes of a mixture of the FBI's, which there are 3,
Wow.
Chicago's, which there are two, Fire Country and SWAT, because I was so far behind. I hadn't watched anything for a couple of weeks and they all had multiple episodes. And so I'm pretty much up to date on what now are broadcasting apart from 2 episodes of each of the Chicago's. So I did a really good job. But
yeah, that's
after
impressive.
so many procedurals, you're just like, it's almost like a trope. Every time I left the house, I felt like I was like chasing a villain, or I was about to go and knock on a door and there might be a perp behind the door. It's kind of like, I need to stop watching these procedurals. And so the only new thing really that I've started was The Paper, which I started yesterday, which was obviously the Office spin-off. Now, I never was into The Office, not even the UK version, but I've decided I want to give this one a go. I love Tim Key and Domhnall Gleeson. So I was like, I'm going to give it a go. And I have struggled. I'm not going to lie. This pilot episode, I wasn't really getting into it for the first half, but towards the end, I started enjoying it a little bit more with the dialogue about the Me Too email that was sent out and what he should do.
Right.
So I started to enjoy it a little bit more. But it's just a shame. That's the only thing fresh I've started in weeks, because I've just, there's so much that I'd like to do. Yeah. But pause TV, everyone. Give me time to catch up. Just put some repeats on for a few months.
Yes, unfortunately, there's quite a lot of stuff starting this week as well.
I know.
Yeah.
It's always this busy period when it's so busy at work. And I know you've spoken about it on previous episodes, but I just wanted to drop in to say that, me and my partner went to watch Thursday Murder Club. Huge fan of the books. I've read them all. We wait until they're released and I watch them, and he started reading them as well. And we went to the cinema to watch it.
Oh, wow.
And we sat in the cinema, we had our popcorn and our drink, and we looked around and we realized we were the youngest in there by a good 30 years. And we then sat through an advert for hearing aids. We sat through an advert for mobility and Specsavers.
Brilliant.
So they knew their audience. Me and my partner were a little bit, but it was enjoyable, but there was just something that didn't work. It was very slow. And then we just had a discussion about the cast is too big for such a slow paced sort of film. It would have worked better as a TV drama, but you wouldn't have had those amazing people in just a TV drama. The cast were too big. And I've been listening to Richard Osman's podcast, and he isn't distancing himself from it because obviously it's his material, but he's very clear in his discussions that it's not his decision on what happens within the film because he sells the rights, and therefore how they creatively, he's not a screenwriter. He never would have written a screenplay, and therefore it's fine. And he started this hashtag Justice for Bogdan, which is one of the characters, because his outcome in the film is different from the book. And I was texting my friend and I was like, this is what happened in the book. She was like, I thought it was. I was really confused. But no, good film. Will there be a second? Will those 4 really want to go again? They're expensive people. Will they have a second when? I
suspect there will be a second. I think, even if they end up recasting people, I suspect they'll do the next book.
Yeah, but his other book, We Solve Murders, is going to be a TV drama, he said as well. So that's going to be like your Sunday night thing. So that's going to be a little bit less starry. But I enjoyed it. It's absolutely worth it. I love reading a book and then going to see the film. I think I really enjoyed that sort of connection. But that's me at the moment. So very little new stuff and lots of plowing through some of the old stuff. But let's go on to you, Dave. What have you had a chance to grab this week?
One new thing, which was Coldwater, which is the new psychological thriller. It's 6 parts. It's got Andrew Lincoln, aka Rick Grimes from The Walking Dead, but being British, again, it's another one of those known for an American show, but a British actor. He is now back on UK TV, and it's a slightly odd one, if I'm being honest, because he plays John, who is this sort of repressed stay-at-home dad who bottles everything up until he explodes and has this midlife crisis. He's taken his kid to the park, and there is this sort of fight that breaks out with one of the other dads, and he ends up running away and throws him slightly to the point that he decides to uproot his family out of London and move them to this little Scottish village called Coldwater. And when they get there, they meet a guy called Tommy, played by Ewan Bremner from Trainspotting, who's this fairly charismatic neighbour, and he runs this all-male book club, and he's married to Rebecca, who's the local vicar, played by Eve Miles from Torchwood and Keeping Faith. And John's own wife is Indira Verma from Game of Thrones and Luther and a whole bunch of other things. She was also in Torchwood at one point as well. She senses that something is a little off with Tommy, but can't quite place exactly what. Turns out she is, of course, right. There is something slightly off with Tommy, and this friendship turns into sort of manipulation and John getting dragged into this world, which is rather unsettling, of Tommy's. And being honest, the opening episode is a little bit slow. And the whole sort of premise of him having this sort of slight break and running away from London to Scotland based on this sort of incident seems a bit weird, but you sort of roll with it. And the acting is perfectly fine. It's just, I don't know, tonally, it is a little all over the place, but it's interesting enough. I've only seen the first episode, so I'm not sure whether it's all up on ITVX, but I will maybe try a little bit more and see. But yeah, that's Coldwater anyway. It looked interesting from I don't know whether you've seen anything about it.
No, I've seen obviously the promo all around Andrew Lincoln's first return to TV and all this since The Walking Dead. And I was interested in it. I've seen a couple of early reviews, but I haven't even seen the trailers yet either. Yeah. I need to probably watch those.
Yeah, I mean, it's on ITVX if you want to go check it. It's going out weekly on ITV as well. So there is that. A couple of finales for me this week, both sci-fi shows. Foundation had its finale, which has been a phenomenal season this season. Some wonderful twists and turns with that. And it will be very interesting to see where they go with it next season, because they have these huge time jumps in that show. So there's sort of 4, maybe 5 key cast members that come back each season, but everybody else is new because the whole thing has jumped on 100 years. But for reasons, there are certain cast members that they can keep around. The events of this season may change that, and it has been renewed for another season. So that's going to be interesting to see what happens next season with that. I was talking to my brother a little bit about this because I'd not read the novels, and some of the major plot points in the TV show aren't in the books at all, which I didn't realize. So the thing, it circles around the Foundation and Empire. And Empire is made up of the Cleons and this dynasty, which has 3 emperors that are decanted at different ages. So you've got dawn, day, and dusk, and they're 3 different ages, but basically they're all decanted from the original emperor. So they're clones. And the entire clone thing is a complete work made up for the TV show. It's not in the books at all. And I mean, it makes sense for the TV show because you can keep the same actors around. But I'd always assumed that was part of the novel, and it isn't.
Wow, that's a huge plot point as well, isn't it?
Yeah. The way it runs in the books is the Cleons are a thing, but I think it's just normal reproductive generation. So it's a family lineage. And of course, with that, you'd have to change the actors. Whereas with this, it allows them to keep the same actors every time. So, yeah, I get why they did it for the TV show, and I think it works brilliantly. And as I say, I assumed it was part of the book, but apparently it isn't. No, I thought that was interesting. But yeah, there's some great twists in the finale as well. I really enjoyed that. It's been a phenomenal piece of sci-fi, that. So definitely worth checking out. Star Trek Strange New Worlds had its finale as well. Very interesting finale for that, because it does feel like they were slightly hedging their bets just in case they ended up getting cancelled, because the finale does feel like it could be a series finale, and it's not. We know they've got 2 more seasons to go, because they announced that it was ending at season 5 and this is just season 3. So we know they've got 2 more seasons. It was a little uneven in terms of tone, very uneven in terms of tone, because it bounced between quite serious to very silly episodes. And they have said that it will be a bit more even next season. Part of that was the fact that they had the writer's strike and the actor's strike to deal with while they were doing that season. Yeah, it was a bit all over the place. I really enjoyed it, though. I like some of the sillier episodes, and they do fit into the whole Star Trek thing. But yeah, we'll see what it does for the next couple of seasons. But I thought that was good. I also went to The Handmaid's Tale after talking with Matt about it last week. I was like, I really must go back and finish that and watch the last 3 episodes of the 6th season, because I hadn't quite got around to the end of it. And Matt, I think, was probably happier with how they rounded it off than I was. I get what he was saying in that it does round off some plot points to do with June, and you do get some closure for June. But as we've been saying for a while, it also has this issue that you've got the Testament sequel series coming. So you can't completely bring down Gilead because they need it for the sequel. And it also doesn't entirely resolve June's story because there are certain characters with a connection to June in the sequel series. I can understand why some people had an issue with it. I was okay. I know why you're ending it like this. And there was a certain amount of wrapping up, but it maybe wasn't as satisfactory as it could have been had they not been planning a sequel. Have you watched any of The Handmaid's Tale? I can't remember.
No, it's not really my thing at all. I just didn't even want to start it. Some of my friends had read the book and were like saying the book would be better to read, but no, not my thing.
Yeah, the book actually has a fairly abrupt ending from what I remember. And the last chapter or so is them post the fall of Gilead discussing what had happened and reviewing the Handmaid's Tale, the actual sort of book which June had written. But at that point in the novel, it's come from an unknown handmaid. They didn't know what her real name was, I don't think, at that point. But yeah, it's an interesting one, that. The other thing, of course, which started back this week, Only Murders in the Building, back for its 5th season. You've got Steve Martin Short and Selena Gomez back as Charles, Oliver and Mabel. If you remember the end of last season, they're investigating the death of the doorman Lester, but very quickly they're told that Lester's death is an accident, which they don't really believe because he was found in the fountain, sort of blood everywhere, that sort of thing. But they've been told that he basically slipped over and smacked his head. So that's what that is. But of course, they do start digging a bit, and it ends up with them being involved in a much bigger mystery, which involves mobsters and billionaires and dark past secrets. 10 episodes in total. They drop the first 3 together, and then it's going out once a week. You've got some interesting names this season as well. Bobby Cavalier is in there, Christoph Waltz, Tia Leone, and Diane Weist, some of the guest stars that we've got this season. Lots of twisty-turny plots. There's a lovely bottle episode which focuses on Lester's background, which is fairly important to the plot because it shows you what was going on with Lester and how he got involved with certain people, and that sort of ties into the story and how he ended up being the doorman and that sort of stuff. So yeah, really, really enjoyed the first 3 episodes of this. I love this show. It's fantastic.
I will be getting onto it as soon as I can. It is in my list. I haven't had the Open Disney for about 3 weeks, I don't think. I've just been, so I need to get into that.
Yeah, there's 3 episodes up already, and you'll have some more to follow as well when that comes up.
Excellent.
So that'll be great. One other thing, of course, that happened this week was the Emmys, which had some very interesting results. What do you think?
It's a bad year to be the bear, which is
disappointing. White Lotus, actually.
Yeah, but the bear normally gets talked about loads at events like this. But it was a really good night for some of my favourite shows, and obviously ones that we've talked about this year. Adolescence had a really good night.
Phenomenal.
And even though I haven't watched it, Severance had a good night as well. But the ever frustrating The Pit. When are we going to get this show?
Well, we don't know for certain, but we are relatively sure that we are going to get it. We're probably going to get season 1 and season 2 together, and we're going to get it at some point next year when HBO Max launches over here. That seems to be the most likely thing because if you're HBO Max, or rather Warner Brothers, who own HBO, you're not going to want to sell a flagship show like that when you're starting to roll out HBO Max in other territories. Why would you? It's something that is guaranteed to bring eyes to the platform. So they're keeping hold of it, which is frustrating for the UK viewers, but we will get it, I'm fairly positive, next year on HBO Max when that launches. So yes. But that had a really good night. Won Best Outstanding Drama. Noah Weil, I think, won for Best Lead Actor.
And one of the actresses won as well, I believe.
Yes, and one of the actresses won as well. I think he picked up a bunch of technical awards. Yeah, and the actor in a leading role, that was a tough category as well, because you had Pedro for Last of Us, Gary Oldman for Slow Horses, Adam Scott for Severance, and Sterling K. Brown for Paradise, which were all fantastic roles and all great shows. So, yeah, it's just frustrating we haven't watched it here. I can't see it here.
Exactly. And a really good night for the studio. And I really did love and appreciate that show for what it sort of did for the film industry and the background. And that was a fantastic sweep of awards that they got for them as well. So really good. The only outlier, and is it available over here? This Somebody Somewhere? This actor beat out quite a few people. Or was it Jeff Hiller beat out people like Harrison Ford for Shrinking, Coleman Domingo for The Four Seasons, Barinholtz Studio, even Ibn Boss Baccarat for The Bear. Like, I've never seen this show. Again, could that be coming with HBO Max in a couple of years?
It may be on HBO Max, but it did actually go out on Sky Comedy.
Oh, did it? Okay. Yeah. I've never heard of it.
Yeah, no, it went out on Sky Comedy, very under the radar. I think it ran for... it only ran for 3 seasons. I think this is the last season of it went out this year. Maybe that's part of the reason, the fact that it came to an end and they weren't going to get another chance to nominate the person. But that I think was a little bit of a shock. Fair enough. The lead actor in an outstanding limited series did go to Stephen Graham for Adolescence. I love Stephen Graham, and he does a phenomenal performance in that. I do still think it should really have gone to Colin Farrell, because while Stephen Graham is great, and it is a great acting performance, unquestionably, and I'm sure it was very tough, Colin Farrell absolutely vanishes in The Penguin. You utterly forget that it's Colin Farrell underneath that, and it's not just the fact that he's under makeup. It's the accent, the way he portrays himself. He vanishes and becomes the Penguin. And it is an absolutely outstanding performance, that role. Whereas Stephen Graham has done things like this before. It is a phenomenal performance, and not taking anything away from that. But I think out of the two of them, I would have gone for Colin Farrell in that. And the best supporting actor, was it in a limited series, went to Owen Cooper, the 15-year-old kid, youngest person to win, and he must have, been 13 or something, 14 maybe, when he did that.
When he filmed it, yeah.
Yeah. And we've spoken about the show before, which is the way it's shot, where it was all done in one take. And that's an incredibly difficult, technically difficult thing to do. And it's tricky for the actors, because if one of them messes up, you've got to reset back to the start. It's really difficult. So I understand why they landed the roles. And Owen Cooper, I think, certainly deserved that.
Also got writer and director as well.
Yeah.
So absolutely. So I used it as another example to show to my students today. I actually played the opening clip again, because we were talking about camera work and how this was a single take. And I thought, why? It's in the news and everyone's talking about it again. We played the opening 2-3 minutes of the episode 1 for my students and said, tell me if anyone sees a cut. Is this just And they're like, oh my God, I can't believe that's all in one. It's like,
Still, the sequence that blows me away is the sequence going out of the school, where the kid jumps out of the window and the camera follows him, and it goes up in the air and then down again, and then acts not like an aerial camera, like a normal it's just some of the camera work in that is utterly outstanding and completely deserves for that sort of stuff. Also very happy to see Hannah Reinbender and
Gene
Smart both winning for Hacks as well, which, although it got beaten by the studio, I think, as the best show, but I'm glad that they at least won for their 2 roles in it, because they are outstanding in that. And Tony Gilroy winning for writing on Andor and beating out The Pit and Severance and Slow Horses and White Lotus. Yeah, the White Lotus was nominated in a bunch of categories now. I think won anything.
Didn't win. I was scrolling down, and did it win anything? I didn't open the technical list. Did it win anything in the technical list? I don't know.
I'm not sure.
One for the sound, that would have been funny. And they're falling out, weren't they? The sound people.
Yes,
the guys.
So I'm not sure whether it won won any technical awards. Slow Horses did pick up a few for directing. I think he picked up.
Yeah, Adam Randall. Yeah,
Adam Randall picked up for directing.
And The Traitors US won for Best Reality. It beat out RuPaul, who often gets that award. But Alan Cumming, fantastic, takes that award for The Traitors US. Obviously, The Traitors UK could not win it the other week at the NTAs. It went to Strictly Come Dancing, but good to see that our Traitors up there somewhere.
Yes, absolutely. And Last Week Tonight as well, picking up various awards, which is always good to see. And Late Night with Stephen Colbert, even though it is now cancelled, beating The Daily Show and Jimmy Kimmel, which is fantastic. I'm very glad that happened because stuff you, CBS, for caving and cancelling that show. Yeah, so there were some interesting things that came up in the Emmys this year, but I think everything, when it went through the categories, there was nothing which I thought, how on earth did that win? That was undeserved. I think everybody that won absolutely deserved their place on that list. So yeah, it was a good, solid set of people and some very tough competition because there've been some fantastic shows this year as well. That's all the stuff we've been doing and watching this week. Let's move on to some TV and film news. So we kick off the TV and film news with renewals, cancellations and pickups. One not direct cancellation, but there was something that came out about Red Dwarf, which was Doug Naylor, who is the writer and co-creator of Red Dwarf, did a Reddit Ask Me Anything earlier in the week. And there had been talk about them doing a new series or a 90-minute special. And apparently that was actually in motion. So back in January 2023, he went for a meeting with UK TV, who said they wanted to do a new 90-minute special. The cast were all on board and he was told to start writing. Several months later, things had progressed and he got 2/3 of the way through the script. He just signed a writer's contract and then got an email from UK TV saying they had difficult news to share. They were no longer going to commission scripted comedy, including the Red Dwarf special, which he hadn't even sent them because the script wasn't finished. They've just decided that they were going to stop doing scripted comedy, which is a very odd decision to make, given that UK TV have got such a sort of comedic background with their shows on Dave, and it's weird. It's a weird choice, but yeah, that's apparently what they've said. The script itself apparently would have seen Lister travel back in time to help a 23-year-old self escape from stasis. The older and younger Listers would then have to go on the run, while the older one determined to steer his younger self toward a more meaningful life. Meanwhile, Rimmer would have teamed up with his younger counterpart to hunt them down on behalf of the JLC. So it sounds like it would have been quite a fun script, but yeah, it's a shame they're not going to do it. He has said that it's possible that it may come out in novel form at some point because he is looking to get back to writing more Red Dwarf novels and other stuff as well. And it's an anniversary for Red Dwarf next year, so they may do something for the anniversary, but they're not sure. So yes, on to the renewals though. Foundation renewed, as I mentioned earlier, so that's coming back for a 4th season on Apple. Apple have also renewed the German medical drama Berlin ER for season 2, so that is coming back as well. There is a show called Overcompensating that's been renewed for season 2 at Prime Video. And for those of you that have Acorn TV, Alyssa Silverstone has a show called Irish Blood on there, which apparently has been renewed for a 2nd season as well. And there is a Liam Morgan and Chuck Lorre comedy called Leanne on Netflix, which I wasn't even aware of, but apparently that's been renewed for season 2 as well. Chuck Lorre is the guy behind all the massive US multicam comedies like Big Bang Theory, that sort of thing.
I think I saw a trailer randomly for Leanne on Netflix. I remember seeing it and thinking, what's this about? But never clicked on it to play, but I'd never heard of it, but it said new. So, yeah.
Yes. So apparently that's gone down quite well and they're making another one. So that will be back for a 2nd season. The other announcement was The Hunting Wives, which you may have seen kicking around as a sort of name. That has been renewed for a 2nd season and it's going to be on Netflix as a global original. Now, this has got a really odd setup because it's made by Lionsgate, not Netflix directly. And it's a soapy murder mystery about a character called Sophie, played by Brittany Snow, a woman who moves to a small East Texas town and becomes entangled with the wealthy magnetic socialite named Margot, played by Malin Ackman, and her clique. As Sophie gets deeper into their lifestyle, trial of partisan hunting, she discovers that they'd be hiding deadly secrets. So Netflix in the US ran the first season of it, but it was this buy-in from Lionsgate. So they only had the US rights. It went down incredibly well on Netflix in the US, but Lionsgate had already sold the international rights in 10 different countries, including the UK. Although we don't know who they sold it to. It could have been Sky, it could have been the streamer like Paramount Plus. We don't know. So Netflix quickly came back to Lionsgate and said, actually, we want a second season of this, but we want the global rights to it. And Lionsgate went, we've sold the rights to season 1 to a number of different people. Let's put a hold on that and we'll talk. So they had this discussion and managed to come to an agreement where they get the global rights to season 2. The problem is we don't know what that means for season 1 now. We don't know whether season 1 is going to end up on Netflix or whether it's going to be rolled out on some of the streaming service first and then go to Netflix, or whether Netflix has managed to buy that deal out from whoever it was that had it. We just don't know at the moment. So we know we're getting season 2 on Netflix. What we don't know is when we're getting season 1 and where we're getting season 1 in the UK. It's very weird.
Very odd one.
Yes, it sounds interesting, that sort of maybe a kind of how to get away with murder, scandally, Shondaland type soapy murder mystery sort of thing. I think sounds like it could be quite fun. But yeah, as I say, the reviews have been fantastic for it. We'll see. It will turn up somewhere at some point. We just don't know where or when. So it's weird. And in the advanced premiere dates, we have one which is The Witcher season 4. We've got a date for that now, 30th of October on Netflix. They released a teaser trailer for it, which gives us our first look as Liam Hemsworth, who takes over the role of Geralt in this from Henry Cavill, who of course walked away after 3 seasons. It was really interesting reading the comments for this. Liam actually seems to do quite well on the little clip that there is up there. But a lot of the comments were quite supportive of Liam, going, if this doesn't work, don't blame Liam, blame the producers, because of all the things that happened with them stepping away from the books. And that was the reason, or certainly seemed to be one of the reasons why Henry left. If the show doesn't work because of plot, it's not the fault of Liam. He's doing his best with whatever he's been given to work with. There was a few interesting comments. One of the comments referred to it as Switcher, which I quite liked. And the other one was, there's a scene in the trailer and Liam is battling this wraith, and Liam pulling the heart out of this wraith is quite symbolic of what the producers did to this show, which I thought was wonderfully snarky. But we know that it is coming to an end because there is a 5th and final season coming. The production quality on that trailer was not great. It looked very studio-like. It reminded me of early Buffy, actually, shot in a backlot or maybe even in a studio made to look a bit like a wood. It looked a bit networky cheap to me, but I'm willing to give it the benefit of the doubt, and I will try it. I watched through the first 3 seasons. I'm going to continue with this. I do want to see how Liam handles it. He seemed to be doing a reasonable job in that. But yeah. Did you watch any of The Witcher at any point?
No, not my thing at all. Never really been into it. But I have been watching on the sidelines all the soapy drama.
Yes, it's been quite fun. There's all the dramatic behind the scenes stuff has been great. On to pick up some other news. Paramount Skydance, who, as we talked about a few weeks ago, literally just become a company, having closed that deal for Skydance to buy Paramount, now apparently are looking to potentially swallow up Warner Brothers Discovery, which you might look at that and going, hang on, weren't they broke? Well, of course, the fact that they've gone through this merger means that they're now not broke at all, because the company is now run by David Ellison, who is son of the very unbroke billionaire Larry Ellison, who is co-founder of Oracle. And I don't know whether he still has, but briefly, I think last week, overtook Elon Musk as the world's richest man, not short of a few quid. Basically, he's backing his son in this. Not to take anything away from David Ellison, he's a very successful businessman in his own right. But, you know, his father is one of the richest men in the world. So they apparently are exploring the possibility of it. Now, there is no guarantee that this will happen. There is no guarantee that this will go through. Of course, it would mean that you've got Batman, Superman, Harry Potter, HBO, CNN, DC Comics all under the same root as SpongeBob, South Park, Star Trek, The Matrix, and Mission Impossible, although they've kind of ended, and all the other things that they have at Paramount. So you could hear somebody scribbling fan fiction in the background of Superman turning up in Star Trek, or SpongeBob in the background of Batman or something. I don't know. But yeah, the news that dropped, and of course the investors went crazy. The Warner shares jumped 30%, Paramount are up 15%. As I say, there is absolutely no guarantee this is going to happen. And if it does, it will take a while for it to go through. The people that are probably most nervous about this would be Sky, I would say, because whilst the merger doesn't necessarily directly affect them, if it's a signal that Paramount are basically going to start hoarding stuff and are just going to grab as much content as they can and stuff it all into their own bag and not share their toys with the other children, that's a problem for Sky, because they have a few HBO shows like House of the Dragon and Peacemaker. That HBO deal is already coming to an end. We don't know that if this went forward, that deal would continue. But what they do have is a lot of CBS shows, which are under Paramount's banner. And if Paramount are starting to signal that maybe they're going to start retaining all their stuff, you've got the FBI's, Elspeth, Fire Country, Matlock. So that's half of Sky Witness's programming. And this is, of course, what happened with Disney. Disney took all their shows back, which, is fine because I think a lot of people have got Disney Plus anyway. But yeah, that could be slightly worrying. And it's not like they disappear off UK TV. So for the viewing public, it's not really a problem. And as I said, we've got HBO Max launching. We already have Paramount Plus. Again, at some point, they would probably end up merging those into one, because why have two streaming services if this went through? So you've got Paramount Max or HBO Plus or whatever they end up calling it. But I don't think it would affect the launch of HBO Max internationally. I think that would still happen, because if this went forward, it will probably take a couple of years for it to clear. And it's not like the regulators aren't going to look at this, because whilst Warner Brothers doesn't have a broadcast network in the US, it does potentially create a massive monopoly with sort of Disney on one side and Comcast in another corner and Paramount in another corner. It takes a major competitor off the board. So, I think there will be eyes on it, and it will get looked at by regulators, I would have thought. But I mean, it would be a huge shakeup.
Huge. The regulator thing is going to be important, because it would shrink our entire film company, and Sony would be sitting there quaking as the new smallest, I think, because with the size of Universal and Disney, you've got Sony and Columbia sitting there in the corner going, oh crap, what's going on over there?
Well, Sony seems to get by just doing its own thing. Sony, again, don't really own any networks, and they just make content for other people, and they seem perfectly happy doing that. I think that's not an issue so much as it would create a huge rival to somebody like Disney, though, because you've got big brand names in there. You've got the DC stuff, you've got Game of Thrones, you've got Harry Potter, you've got Star Trek, and plus all the other things like The Matrix and the other film stuff which is in the Paramount catalogue. It's not like they're short of brands either.
There's a lot of new Sky customers. Was I saying I'm not a Sky customer anymore? Do they get Paramount Plus as part of their movie package?
Yes.
Sky Cinema, yeah.
Paramount Plus is part of the movie package, and HBO Max will be part of the Sky package, I think, as well. Certainly will be available on Sky. I think they've said that it will be on the Sky package. You are technically a Sky customer, even though you're not directly a Sky customer, because you have Now TV, and that's owned by Sky. But yes, I mean, it's not like these shows are going to vanish. They will still be available over here. And as I say, I think it's very early days for this. So if it does go through and they do decide it's worth looking at, it's going to take a couple of years for it to do. But yeah, interesting potential shift in things there. Onto some actual TV shows. We've got a number of new things which the BBC have commissioned. One of them is called Night Watch. And have you seen anything about it?
I've seen the news report that was released. And I do actually know that Daisy May Cooper is a huge fan of horror and ghosts, and she does a lot of stuff about paranormal. I've listened to her on the Uncanny podcast a couple of times.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because when I first saw this, I thought, oh, that's an interesting thing for a sort of mockumentary thing. And it's a genuine documentary factual entertainment show. So it's Daisy May Cooper and her brother Charlie, and they're back together. And the premise is fairly simple. You basically take both siblings, lock them overnight in some of the UK's most haunted locations, from Victorian prisons to castles to creepy cinemas and even a bothy in the Scottish Highlands. It's like Ghost Hunters, the various shows that were on UK TV and other channels for ages. So yeah, they're doing that, except it's going to be Daisy May Cooper and Charlie. So each episode starts off with a tour of the ghost stories, and then the lights go out and it's just Daisy and Charlie and a few ghost hunting gadgets and a very long night until dawn. I think that's an interesting premise. So first up, the prison in Gloucester, where they're shut inside a cell together. You've got a Northumberland castle, bat-infested ruins in Herefordshire, haunted cinema in York, and a Cannock Chase pub once popular with highwaymen, particularly Dick Turpin. And I know that because it's called the Four Crosses and it's about 10 minutes away from my house. I don't know when they filmed that, but yeah, it was kind of closed in 2012, that. But yeah, it's a very historic pub. So yeah, interesting. I think that we haven't got a premiere date for it. It's coming to BBC Two and iPlayer. But you've been a huge fan of Daisy May Cooper as well. I noticed she's not doing
that wasn't announced, was it? It was just suddenly she's just not on there anymore. And Sophie Willan has got
Sophie Willan did quite a lot of the last season because Daisy was filming, and I think because of things like this and other shows she's involved in, I think she's just too busy to be able to do it. That's all it is. It's not any other than the various reasons. I think that was certainly the reason given last year, and I think she's just too busy to do it. It's a shame because she's great, but Sophie's been great as well, and they've got some guest captains on that as well, but
because she's also lost her captaincy role on Password, the quiz show that Stephen Mangan hosted with her and Alan Carr. I was saying the other day. So she's not on Buzzcocks. She's not on Password. I said, so she must have some other projects. And then a couple of days later, this documentary got announced. Went, there's her other project.
Yes. She's off ghost hunting with her brother Charlie. It's called Night Watch. That's coming up on the BBC. BBC commissioned two other things as well. One of them is called The Hairdresser Mysteries, which is set in the 1970s. It stars Sally Phillips from Veep and Bridget Jones's Diary as Lily Petal, a high-end stylist who ditches the city to run a small village salon. Trouble is, clients gossip, and Lily discovers she's got a knack for sniffing out village secrets. Cue blow dries, perms, and unexpected detective work. It's basically Father Brown with hairspray. It's one of the daytime shows. Both of these are being pitched as daytime kind of shows. So that's one of them. The other one is called The Detection Club, which is set in 1930s London. Imagines Agatha Christie, Dorothy L. Sayers, and J.K. Chesterton teaming up to solve real-life murders. Rookie cop tries to keep up with the greatest crime writers in history, turn their fiction skills to fact. It's sort of Only Murders in the Building or the Thursday Murder Club, but with actual literary legends. Is really
and a little bit of bookish in there as well, with the time it's being set.
Yeah, and some bookies thrown in. They're both being shot in the Midlands. What they've basically done is, remember, they cancelled Doctors after 20-something years, and they said they wanted to reinvest the money in the Midlands. It wasn't going out of the Midlands. They wanted to reinvest the money that they used to make Doctors in some other dramas to film in the Midlands. And these are two of the dramas that they're using the Doctors' money for. Whether that's the right thing to do, who can say? But yeah, that's what they're doing. Hairdresser Mysteries starts filming in the autumn, and Detection Club is starting in 2026 to film. So it's going to be at least later next year before they actually land. But yeah, these sort of gentle daytime kind of soap mystery things, is up your street, maybe? I don't know.
I'm not sure. I wasn't really. I did like the Marlowe Mysteries ones that was on UK TV. The only downside is you have to sit through all the flipping adverts because there's no way to skip them on the Uplayer. Yeah, they're nice to be in the background, ponder away your afternoons.
Yes, yeah. So we'll see whether they're any good or not, but they are coming to the BBC. Over on Prime Video, there is a new show led by Joel Kinnaman called Bishop. where he plays a homicide detective called Bishop Graves, brilliant, battle-scarred and pushed to the edge by his latest case. The plot, he's hunting a killer targeting San Francisco's wealthy elite, but the murders may have ties to a city's most powerful businessman, who also happens to be his father. As the killer's killings spark a cult-like following amongst the underclass, Bishop is dragged into a personal and dangerous investigation. It comes from Little Marvin, who did Them, and Tony Saltzman, who did Dexter Resurrection, which was fantastic. Little Marvin serving as the showrunner. The fact that Joel Kinnaman has taken on this may be raising an eyebrow for some people who are fans of For All Mankind, which is the other show that he's been doing. However, we've been saying for a while, the thing is, that show jumps forward 10 years each season. We know he's in the upcoming season, but the character of a Baldwin replays, he's 81 in that season, and he's on Mars. And if they keep jumping ahead a decade, he would have to be 91 by the next season. And with the best will in the world, unless you're going to decant him into some sort of robot body at that point, I don't know how you keep the character of Ed going. Pretty much everybody else that started out that show has been killed off, and Ed's the only one really that's still alive. Rather suspect that season 5, which we still don't have a date for, will probably be his last. So I'm not expecting that. But yeah, Bishop will go out on Prime Video, but don't have a date for it yet. I don't think they've started filming. So, I mean, I like Joel Kinnaman, and they've been quite good with their sort of homicide shows, I think, with things like Ballard and Bosch and that sort of stuff. I think this could work. He's a solid lead actor. Over onto Netflix, and they're teaming up with Charlie Brooker again. He's basically swapping the sort of Black Mirror evil algorithm stuff for old-fashioned murder. It's a 4-part thriller set between the fictional northern city of Bleakford and London, and follows a tormented detective chasing a ritualistic serial killer. The cast is Paddy Constantine from House of the Dragon, Georgina Campbell from Barbarian, and Leah Headey from Game of Thrones. So solid cast there. He officially described as profoundly serious, which in Brooker speak probably means it'd be serious until suddenly it isn't, and have some very pitch black humor in it as well. The press release was very funny. I'm beyond thrilled to be saying these words for this press release. I've dreamt of providing a quote ever since I was a young fetus, and here I'm now doing it. I pinch myself, but like all of us, I'm terrified that if I do that, I might wake up and discover that 2025 has been a magical dream. Please watch the show, I'm begging you. The writing team behind it has got people from other Brooker shows like Come On Earth, Scream Wipe, That Mitchell and Wedlock as well. There's some people from that involved. I love Charlie Brooker, and I think he'll be great with this. Interested in this one?
Yeah, if it's Charlie Brooker, I'll probably give it a go. I really do like how he writes and how he mocks what's going on in society, and he might feed a little bit of that through there as well. So
I would think so. Yes, definitely. I'm glad he's doing something slightly different to Black Mirror. I thought the current season of Black Mirror has been brilliant as well. I think it's very much back on form, but I'd love seeing him do other stuff. I wish he did some more Stream Wipe stuff, because the Screen Wipe things were very funny. It's a shame he doesn't still do that. And the last bit of news is some casting for SWAT Exiles. You were aware that this was coming. I can't remember whether you were on when we talked about it or not.
Yeah, I knew it was coming. And then I know that one of the actors from SWAT talked out against this being cut. The one who plays Tan spoke out about how he's cut again and this was ridiculous and how they were favouring Shamar. But I think it hasn't worked in his favour by speaking out from this news.
Yeah, it's a slightly odd one in terms of the fact that it technically hasn't actually been commissioned, but they're making it anyway. And it's an odd premise for a story, because the basic setup is a mission goes badly wrong. Hondo is yanked out of forced retirement to lead an experimental last chance unit of raw recruits. His job is to turn the squad of unpredictable misfits into a proper SWAT team before the whole program gets scrapped, which as a premise doesn't make a huge amount of sense, given that SWAT are supposed to be the best of the best. And you've just had something go horrendously wrong. And then your solution to that is to bring a bunch of misfits together to make a new SWAT. Doesn't really make a huge amount of sense to me. But so it's got Shamar Moore back as Hondo. They've also said that Jay Harrington is back as Deacon, and Patrick St. Esprit is back as Hicks. New talent cast coming in is Lucy Barrett from Charmed, Adam Bradley from Tarot, Zara Gorchik from La Brea, Freddie Mayanaz from When They See Us, and Roman Rubenstein from 911 Lone Star. I think he was Rob Lowe's kid in that show. The son who's the firefighter. So yeah, that's the new cast. You've got Jason Ning, who worked on The Expanse of Lucifer, is showrunner, with Kevin Tancharoen, who worked on the Book of Boba Fett. He's directing the first episode for that. As I said, it's an odd one because you'd think, oh, CBS, but it actually isn't. It's been made by Sony, who made the original SWAT. And when SWAT got cancelled, they thought, it's still popular. We're just going to make a different show that is called SWAT Exiles. Bring some of the cast across. We'll make 10 episodes of it and then sell it to somebody. And if CBS want to pick it up, great. If not, we'll sell it to somebody else. We don't know where it's going to land in the UK, where it's going to land in the US. Sony have done this before with things like Alex Rider, where they made the entire thing and then sold it to Prime eventually. It's not unheard of for them to do this, but it is a slightly odd one. I'm not sure. It's such a weird premise for it. And I don't know.
I don't want to say it's flogging a dead horse. Sometimes you do have to let a program rest. You do not want it to do what happened to Scrubs when it came back for that final season that everyone hates and talks about. You hold on to a couple of casts, but bring around the best. But in the other side, it's a formula, this show. It's just been on in the background this weekend when I was catching up. It's such a formulaic show and it will probably work. But what I'm just going to comment on is they've cut their strong female characters and they're just keeping with the men, which I think is one part of the problem, because every time they have a strong female character, they don't last huge amounts of time in that season. They're always gone and all the men just seem to stay from beginning to end. It's just an interesting observation I make because I like the current two female characters. They've got a lot going for them and it depends how they end this season. It's a shame we won't see them again.
Yeah, and it's entirely possible they might bring some of those cast back, even if they're in guest spots in this. But at the moment, the only people that have been announced are Joe Harrington and Patrick. And it makes sense as Hicks being back. It makes sense Deacon being back. And obviously Hondo, because Shimon was the one that's basically leading it. But yeah, I mean, you could have some of them pop up. But we'll see what happens with that and where it eventually lands. I imagine Sky will probably take it from Sony directly over here, but we'll see.
Yeah.
So that's all the news we've got for this week. Just some highlights for next week coming up. So, highlights for next week, and there's a lot of good, new and returning stuff next week. Sorry.
Oh, no. I'm going to quit my job.
Yes. On Sky Witness on the 17th of September, we have Doc starting, which is this new medical drama. It's actually based on an Italian series. This is the one about the female doctor that basically loses her memory or loses sort of 10 years of her memory and then has to try and go back to work again. And yeah, looks interesting. That one, if you're into sort of medical dramas. It's been going down very well on Fox in the US, and they're now bringing it onto Sky Witness. Season 1 of that on the 17th of September at 9 p.m. Also on the 17th, there's quite a lot on the 17th. Gen V returns on Prime Video for its second season, so that'll be fun. High Potential, which has been just brilliant. That's back for a second season on Disney Plus on the 17th as well. That's Caitlin Olsen as a single mom who goes and helps the police, which has been just wonderfully fun. The Morning Show is back for its fourth season. That's on Apple TV on the 17th as well. Then we've got some older box sets popping up. Into the Badlands, all 3 seasons of that lands on ITVX. That's the sort of martial arts road movie sort of thing. But that's on ITVX on the 18th of September. All 3 seasons of Into the Badlands land on there. Juice is back for a second season. That's on BBC 3 on the 18th of September at 9 p.m. You watched the first 60 of
I did. I enjoyed it very much. It had Russell Tovey in it, so I'm bound to watch it.
I remember. Yes. Yeah, that was, it was sort of odd, surreal kind of humor. I seem to remember that. It was a sort of quite fun show. Damages, another old box set. All 5 seasons of that are landing on ITVX on the 21st of September. That follows a ruthless litigator and her ambitious protege as they become entangled in high-stakes legal battles where nothing is ever as it seems. It's Glenn Close in the lead of that one. Was that one you ever actually watched?
No, I didn't watch that one.
Okay, that might be worth checking as a box set. He's supposed to be quite good. So all 5 seasons of that, 21st of September on ITVX. Tulsa King returns for its 3rd season with Sylvester Stallone back as the lead, and now comes with added Samuel L. Jackson. That's on the 21st of September on Paramount+. So Samuel L. Jackson guest starring in this season before he goes and starts his own spin-off, which he's called Nola King. You'll get to see him in there first. Waterloo Road back for its 16th season. That's on BBC One on the 23rd of September at 9 p.m. Then Marvel Zombies, which, I mean, I've got season 1 here, but I think they already do one season of it. This is the animated series which is spun out of the What If series, which reimagines the Marvel Universe as a new generation of heroes battle against an ever-spreading zombie scourge. That's 24th of September on Disney Plus for Marvel Zombies. And Shakespeare and Hathaway, Private Investigators, season 5 of that lands on You and Alibi on the 24th of September at 8 p.m. Many people thought that wasn't going to return. It wasn't. And then UK TV stepped in and said, we'd quite like a 5th season of it. So it's going to air on You and Alibi first, and then will air on the BBC later. That is back for a 5th season. And the absolutely superb Slow Horses also returns for a 5th season over on Apple TV on the 24th of September as well. I'm so looking forward to that being back. So, yeah, lots of stuff to watch this week, whatever you fancy, whether it's zombies, strange, odd humor, drama, all in there. There's some great stuff in there, I think. I will definitely be watching Slow Horses, High Potential, Gen V. I will take a look at Doc as well. So, yes, and Marvel
Too much
Zombies.
to choose. I can't choose. Too much.
That's all the stuff coming next week on TV. If people want to talk to you in between you writing and classes and all that sort of stuff,
they can come and find me. I'm very quiet, but I am over on Blue Sky at Grey Panton, and I'm also on Instagram at Grey Panton as well. I've really reduced my presence on social media recently. You'll see me more in stories, just doing loads of running basically and keeping myself fit and active. But yeah, I am over there if you did want to talk to me about anything, but I am extremely busy, annoyingly very busy for this autumn as well.
Yes. Other people involved in the show, you can go and find Domingus over at HollywoodNewsSource.com for all his TV and film articles and interviews. Matt, of course, at entertainmenttalk.org for lots and lots more podcasts. And I'm actually over on there as well. We're doing Breaking Bad season 4. After about a 2-year break, we finally got around to doing the 4th season. So that is back, along with these brand new podcasts and all the other stuff as well. Hollywood North News, you can go and find Daryl for lots of TV shows that you love, which are shot in Canada. Next week on the show, we have a guest co-host. And if you're a fan of The Traitors, you might want to come and listen. I just mentioned that whilst we're here as well. But in the meantime, you can visit the website at geektown.co.uk throughout the week and see all the latest air date information. If you want to get in touch with your questions or comments, email us on podcast@geektown.co.uk. Leave a message on the website post. Find us at Geektown on Twitter, on Facebook at facebook.com/Geektown, YouTube at youtube.com/Geektown, Blue Sky at Geektown, Instagram at Geektown UK, TikTok at Geektown UK, and Threads at Geektown UK. That is everything. We shall see you next week. Goodbye.
Bye.